All right. Well, we're going to wrap up on a couple of more theoretical notes, but we have one more piece of industry news that you wanted to bring up, and this was the roller coaster of the end of year for a company called
Oh, poor
Bench Accounting, I
bench.
guess.
Yes.
Yeah. So
So
why don't you tee it up and explain why you want to talk about it?
for those who you don't know, Bench is a small, medium business accounting solution that has been helping with accounting and auditing, successfully raised $100 million and got thousands of customers. But on December 27th, they suddenly sent a note right before the end of the year saying, sorry, we're insolvent. We're going to try to support you, but you got to get off this platform as soon as possible. And everybody's wondering, what the heck happened? We trusted you. A lot of people trusted you. And actually, they were bought a few days later by an opportunistic company. So, the service will be maintained. But, what led to this crazy roller coaster of a ride at the end of the year when everybody's trying to just figure out how to close the books for next year? And, they ran into this problem that I think is going to come up a lot more in 2025 is simply that Bench was overstretched. They took a venture loan and that loan came due and the bank said, I'm sorry, we're either going to collect the money now or close down your company. There's no in between. And between venture capital expectations, too many companies that have been running unprofitably, and the end of zero interest rate economics, we're going to see a real issue here with a lot of innovative and smaller companies that may have taken business more quickly than they can afford to.
Yeah, I do think it's, if you haven't done it yet, it is definitely time to go look at your portfolio of partners and make sure that there is some profitability health, or at the very least, an extremely long runway. And it's hard if you're working with startups, you don't always have access to that information. I mean, we've talked in the past where we're seeing a bit of a migration back towards the major players, and this is part of the reason is that as we moved out of this era where money was flowing cheaply and everyone could always go and count on, as long as you weren't just completely blowing it, you could count on another round. Suddenly that's no longer the case, and so companies that had been following the kind of playbook of grow at all costs, didn't worry about making any money, about any degree of profitability or even any sense of cash flow positivity, just spend to acquire the market. Those companies have had, and I think that there's risk, and I think in many cases that's a cultural dynamic where they've had trouble pivoting away from that.
Yeah.
Um, and so, I think if you're a CIO, you need to be doing your best to do some due diligence here and figure out where your risk points are. And this was obviously focused on small, medium companies, but there are plenty of companies that focus on the enterprise that I think are teetering very close to the same sort of point.
Yes, the irony is that as a startup a founder, you always say there's no plan B. Well, as a CIO, you have to ask for plan B. There has to be a backup plan. At the very least, somebody with either deep pockets or maybe they are backed by a Salesforce Ventures or a Workday Ventures or a ServiceNow Ventures. So there's some deep pockets who are interested in maintaining that service, regardless of the short-term profitability of the actual organization.
Yeah, it is challenging though. I mean, as we've talked about, Google, who clearly has deep pockets, has a propensity of shutting down their services just as much. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's a tough space all the way around. And but the upside there is at least you get noticed when it's something like Google instead of this. Oh, by the way, we're gone tomorrow. But
Right.